The Duffers said in an article. If you didn't click off the video at that, you're better than me. So, the Duffers have been basically talking in articles um, since the show ended. They talked in an article published 2 days ago, and we're going to go through some of the things that they said because it's kind of interesting and definitely leaving a lot more questions than answers because for some reason, a lot of their answers in these little articles have been I don't know, and we just wanted to leave it up for interpretation because that's great. I'm so glad. You left way more questions than answers when all we wanted was answers. So, the most important thing is this. So, I'm going to actually not let you see the answer. So, don't go back and pause. I'll tell you what the answer is in a second. So, the question was one discussion online this morning is whether Mike made the whole thing up or Eleven actually told him what her plan was. I'm going to pause. At what point would she have told him? Are they talking before the upside down or after the upside down? Because either one doesn't make any sense. Like, when did she say, hey, you know what? I have to tell Mike, of all people. I'm not going to tell Hopper. I'm not going to tell Will or Joyce or Jonathan or any of my adopted family. I'm just going to go tell, the boyfriend. Just let him know. Yeah, that does not make sense to me. At the very least, she would have told Hopper. Um, so there being a plan and her actually telling anybody the plan, that didn't happen. Or that during the graduation, Mike realizes that 11 never could have gotten from the truck to the gate because of the kryptonite. So that's not really her, it was a projection. Discuss. Okay, here's the thing. There's a lot there. So I'm just going to get to the answers and we're going to talk about it. Okay, so Matt and Ross are both there, but Matt is the only one that answered this question. So Matt says, the only thing I'll debunk is that 11 does not communicate with Mike in any way. So 11 does not communicate with Mike. There's no point in time in which they could have communicated, so that's automatically they did not communicate. But what you just said at the end, yes, at graduation, he's hearing the speakers distort because the principal is so angry. It makes him realize that there was the kryptonite. Okay, I did not clock that. I'm going to be completely real with you. I thought he was just having PTSD. But I guess he was realizing that the kryptonite was on. But also, at what point did they tell them about the kryptonite? Did they do that? Someone let me know in the comments if they actually told everybody about the kryptonite. Also, if you're new here, 2 times speed. It'll be um in the title, but 2 times speed because there's a lot of yapping. So just get through it. But I don't think anybody mentioned the kryptonite, so I don't know how Mike would have known about it, unless I'm crazy and they did. I've watched this show like this season a lot, so it probably got jumbled in there. So, how could she have possibly made it all the way to the gate? Not only that, how could she have possibly used her powers to bring him into the void? Okay, so if they wanted it to not be confusing, they could have just said the kryptonite doesn't reach past the gate because it's a different atmosphere, therefore, some magic voodoo stuff, and it didn't hit her. That's what they could have said. Instead, they make it more confusing. Um, and then they continue on to say, but there are a lot of questions. Could Kali have actually done that? Could she have possibly been alive? We like that it's up to the audience. Again, obviously, we tell you what the characters chose, right? Now, they also mention that if 11 is alive, that she would not ever risk bringing, like, she would not risk contact because it would bring her back out into the open and the cycle would start again. So, in Mike's storytelling, he doesn't see a version in which they reconnect, which is sad, but also, you know, further proving the point that she does not talk to Mike. Um, Now, the things that stuck out to me, now everybody was talking about the void scene, which is really funny. But everybody's talking about the void, how if the void wasn't real, then Mike is just schizophrenic. And then they just started posting memes of the schizophrenic Jimmy Fallon. And if you haven't seen those, they're kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. It's just like the most out of pocket things. Like everybody's making fun of the fact that he made up the entire void and then still couldn't tell her that he loves her, which is really funny. I'm just been cackling at that. I'm not gonna lie, but it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So was the void not real? Was the void real? Was it an illusion? Did Kale like put him in a trance? Like I'm and make him see things that weren't happening? But how could she, like, usually when she makes people see things, she makes them see things in like the real world. So how could she make him see the void? I don't think that's ever happened. Like she I rewatched The Lost Sister and I didn't see anything like that happening with her powers of she can just make them see an entire void. So it just doesn't make any sense to me that that would be her using those powers then. But then, like, what was that scene? Was he just envisioning it in his head? How was she talking to him? And we certainly know that it's not like lore accurate when she says that he's the only person to ever understand her. What? I'm sorry. You had a whole thing in season 3 where Max taught you how to like things that weren't liked by Mike and Hopper. She taught you how to be your own person. And she didn't understand you? Or Will, who has been kidnapped and tortured and had powers for like 4 seconds and um tortured and kidnapped and literally everything that's happened to him. Like you two have gone through so much trauma that I'm pretty sure both of you could understand each other probably the best out of the entire group. Like both of you were like hooked up in a hospital essentially and experimented on. So, I'm pretty sure if there's anybody that can understand each other, it would be them. Which makes me mad that, like, if this void scene was real, then I would have liked it to be Will in there with her. Because that's his sister. Like, come on. Also, why not Hopper? Why not, literally anybody else in that scene for her to say, oh, you understood me best? Granted, she had like 50 scenes with Hopper, so like we're happy that it was somebody else. But like to say that line to Mike doesn't make any sense, considering also in season 4, the entire premise of that season was that Mike didn't understand her, and only when he got the painting from Will and was told these falsities did he only then was he able to say I love you. He's in love with an illusion. He's in love with an idea. He's not in love with her. I hate to break it to you. Like I don't if you actually support that relationship, then I'm sorry. Like genuinely. Like I'm sorry that I'm like trashing on it right now. Um love it. I don't care. Like at the end of the day, I don't care. It's a TV show. I don't care. It's not that deep. But like genuinely like their relationship was is like the first part of the relationship was built on um like her not knowing anything about anything, and then the second part of it was built on a lie. So it's just like there's nothing to root for. It's just it feels manipulative even though that's not necessarily the intent, but like, I don't know. And there was no clear sign that they even got back together. Like, genuinely. There was like no sign that they did. Anyways, it doesn't matter, but the point is, um, the whole void scene doesn't make any sense. Just like what she was saying in the void, um, it was just a lot of like, don't do this and I have to and I'm sorry. Like, it really didn't make any sense. I also don't know why she did it. It, like, that doesn't make any sense. Because regardless if, like, I don't know. Because I understand, like, where she thinks that, like, if she's not alive, then they can't do this stuff. But she was in a cabin for a year, completely safe. I mean, she was also in season 2, cabin, alive, safe. Um, season 3 for 18 months, she was in a cabin, safe. Like, yeah, eventually they're gonna find out the cabin, but like, someone mentioned Dr. Owens could have easily protected her, and we have no idea what happened to him. So like, there were possibilities. It was just doing something with those possibilities. And also, somebody also mentioned Yuri and Antonov, sorry, from season 4 with Hopper. The I think Yuri was also Russian, but those guys, like, they could have flown her out of the country. I mean, they flew into the country obviously to get Hopper and Joyce back home, so they could have flown out of the country and taken her wherever, and could have essentially babysat her and, taught her how to live and do all that stuff. Like, those were pretty good guys, I would say. Well, okay, maybe not Yuri, but I trust Antonov. I think he would have been fine. But like, there were so many possibilities of if you actually wanted her to survive. And like, I don't know. It frustrates me. It really does. But the whole void scene doesn't make any sense. But that's not the part that stuck out to me. The part that stuck out to me was this one right here. So how could she have possibly made it all the way to the gate? Um, I didn't realize that until Matt said it. So I don't know how she would have gotten to the gate. So there's a couple of theories, right? She gets off the truck somehow, past these guards. Now, when I was discussing this with my father, he did mention that there is the hole in the roof. So she could have gone out that way instead of the back of the truck. And I don't know if there was any like opening between the back and the front of the truck. It doesn't appear to be. So she would have had to go onto the roof. Um and then somehow slide down the front of the truck and off of it, because if she jumped, well, actually, I don't know how, if no, because her jump would have made an impact sound, so they would have heard. Maybe not with all the chaos. I don't know, but she would have had to get from the top of the roof down to the ground and in the door, um, without anybody noticing her, and also while the kryptonite was going off. Now, maybe if you go back and you time it and see if there was like enough time between when the truck stopped and the kryptonite went off, but it feels pretty instant almost. So that would have been very difficult for her to do. Now, there's also the theory that she does somehow make it over there, but that's like virtually impossible. It really is. Like, I sat there. I was like, how should she do that? How's she over there? Um, I think there's so many different theories that you can go here. So that's really what this video is about, is just the different theories of what this is supposed to mean, because there's a lot. So one of the first theories is that Kale survived. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of her name, and I'm sorry. Um, those letters together are just really hard for me to say for some reason. But the theory is she survived. She faked her injury. She didn't actually get shot. She gave the illusion that she got shot, and then carried on with the rest of her life, essentially. Now, there's the other theory of she did get shot, but she used her ability to make it seem like she was more hurt than she was. Which, if you look at the amount of blood that she loses, it seems a lot quicker than it would have been. I'm not a blood expert though, so I don't know, but it seems like there's a lot more blood in a lot more area. Like, it was very like, all over the place. If you watch that scene, then you'll like see that it was just like a lot very quickly. Um, so she could have projected that it was more than it was. Um, and then so either she didn't get hurt at all, or she got hurt but made it look worse than it was. But then there's, it's like a choose your own adventure. It just like keeps branching. So either she, so those are the two options, right? Right now, those are the two paths we're gonna go. So either she got hurt and it wasn't as bad as she projected it to be, or she didn't get hurt. Either she then chose to stay in the lab, or she chose to try to sneak off. Now, that would have been a lot harder if she was hurt. But in order for her to do anything, like, in order for her to have a projection of Elle at the gate, she would have had to know one, who she was projecting it to, two, the environment in which she was projecting. Like, if think of it like this way, if like Elle was standing on a boat, like, like she would have had to project it like that, like instead of just like Elle standing on water. Like she would have had to know exactly where to place her. And she only saw the gate once, and I think she was in the back of the truck when it was happening, so she wouldn't have even seen the gate at all. Like there's no windows in the back of the truck. She would have never seen the gate. Now, I don't know if they closed the door before they hit the gate, but I think they did. And I also don't know where she was in that scene. I don't think she was near the front of the truck. I think she was in the back. But I'm pretty sure they closed the back of the truck before they get through the gate. Now, they might not have, and she might have seen it for a split second. But even then, it's really hard to get that placement right without being able to see it. Now, third thing is just I don't remember the third thing, so we're just gonna move on. I'm gonna be honest. I I had that prepared, and then I was just like, nope. I just woke up, so I'm a little cooked. But yeah, the third thing, that's yeah, she had to get there. She had to get somewhere, right? If she needed that information, she would have had to get there. How did she get there? Who knows? Um, we know that there's no tunnels going from Hawkins' lab anywhere else. Now, my curious question, and the question I would have asked is, so Will made the tunnels in the right side up. Did those tunnels also get made in the upside down? Because we never see those tunnels in the upside down. So like I know they like if I know that the upside down is technically like frozen in time, which they never explain. But I'm just curious to know if those tunnels exist in any capacity. I mean, Will was building something. I mean, his eyes like they literally show his eyes going back and forth like he was doing with when he was building the tunnels, and they never explain it. Never explain what he was doing. Now, it could have been he was moving the worlds closer together, but that seemed like Vecna was trying to harness the power from the kids to do that. So I don't know why Will was building. No idea. Never explained. Um, so if he was building, could he have been possibly building something in the upside down? I just want to know how far his powers can reach. But anyways, that's not kind of important, but it is kind of important. If the tunnels do somehow exist in the upside down, then Kali definitely could have used that to get around, but she probably would have gotten lost considering she's never been there. Um, it gets a little dicey here. So, if she was trying to leave the building to get to L, which she would have known the plan because she was in the radio station when they told the plan. Now, there's two things that she could have done. One, she could have ran, um, but I don't know how Hopper and Murray, who have nothing else to do, wouldn't have noticed somebody running, considering she didn't know where they were on the roof. Now, she could have made herself invisible. There is that. But if she was shot, she's wasting a lot of energy that she does not have. Now, you may be saying, okay, well, in this earlier part of the season, when she was leaving the compound, she had that projection and she was able to project it for a long time after. Okay, the only reason she was able to do that though was because she saw her scenery. Like she saw the setting that she was supposed to be projecting. She knew that she was supposed to be projecting herself in that contraption she was in. She saw what she was supposed to, like the exact placement. So I don't buy that she could have just done that from miles away. Because if she could have done that from miles away, then like I don't know. I feel like she would have escaped if she was that good at casting projections. Like I think she would have just escaped the first time, and she wouldn't have needed help. So I don't really buy into that. I think she needs to see where she's, her environment. So I think she needed to be there. Now, she could have made herself invisible, like I said, um, or she would have known that Hopper and Murray would have had to leave at some point. Um, so she hops into the back of the only military vehicle that is functioning. So she probably went down there to see if there was anything because she knew that they would have had to take something. Um, or at the very least, at the time she might have thought, oh, they're going to meet up with the van, but I don't know what the initial like. I don't know what Hopper and Murray were going to do really in terms of like leaving after the bomb because for them to go all the way from the radio station back, unless they were hoping that there was a car that functioned, I don't really understand what that part of the plan was going to be because it really just felt like, oh, the military just happens to be leaving a car for us. But I think she probably got into the back of that. I doubt they would have looked. I think they would have just gotten into the car and left. Um, but she could have gotten in the back of that and then gotten out once they got closer to the gate. Like just remembered sort of some of I don't know what she couldn't have seen out of the truck. But she probably could have saw the gate like in the military truck cuz I don't actually know. I don't actually know. But maybe oh no, she could have heard the the other vehicle. She could have known that she was close enough to the truck that Robin and Steve were in because I'm pretty sure they honk at each other. So she could have heard that and been like, "Okay, we're close. That we've met up with the other people." So at some point, I think she tucked and rolled and then got close enough to the gate. Now, um, that doesn't mean Elle was perfectly fine, but it definitely means that that projection could have happened. Now, I do think I don't know if I think she got shot or not. It would be a lot easier if she didn't get shot for her to be doing all these maneuvers without dying. Because the biggest thing people were pointing out was that there's no way she would have known if this was a projection when to start the projection. And I think that's also the other important piece of it is that in order for her to like cast this projection with any use, she had to know when to do it. Because if she did it too early, then everybody would have been confused on why there's two L's. Um, so she obviously had to be near the area. So I do think she hopped in the back of the military truck, hitched a ride to the gate, got out, and then casted the projection. We just don't see her on the screen because she's off to the side doing it. Um, now L. There's a couple of possibilities. One, L does end up dying. Now, this one is a little bit more of a stretch. Now, I need you to bear with me. Okay, so L could have possibly jumped out of the truck? Question mark. There's two possibilities. One, she never got on in the truck to begin with. Okay. The second possibility is that she jumps out of the truck at some point, and nobody notices because Kale very powerfully and iconically does two different abilities at once and essentially makes the real L invisible while also projecting a fake L. And just nobody heard her climbing off the roof and then jumping down. So that could have happened. Or somehow, when she heard the music, I don't know how loud the music was, I'm going to be honest. Or she started to hear movement that she assumed that they made it out alive from the abyss and started to cast sort of a projection, knowing the intended targets and knowing sort of the area because it would have been like the opposite of the real world. And projecting a fake L back at the radio station. L snuck off, and then but then how does she get to the gate, you know? So it's a little bit that one's a little bit stretchy. Um and how do they meet up? That sort of deal. I just I do think it is more likely than not an illusion because it's just a lot harder to figure out the timing and the placement of how she got to the gate considering the kryptonite was going off. Like it just I can't think of any rational logical explanation. The only thing I can think of is that she didn't get into the truck at the radio tower. But then how did she get all the way to the gate without a vehicle? Because the only two functioning vehicles in the Upside Down at the time were the ones that they were using. Unless she just like ran. I mean, she's a fast runner, but like I don't know if she can keep up with those two. Unless she unless she stood on the roof and but then like how was there a projection, you know? How would she know to make her invisible on the roof and also cast a projection? And also we don't see her nose. Well, we also don't see her. So, I would say we don't see her nose bleed. Um so there's really no explanation for that one. So I'm gonna say at the end of the day, I don't think Elle's dead. I really don't, because it doesn't make any sense. Like genuinely, there's no like timing or placement nor anything that would make it make sense. Um, I do think Callie's dead. Like I think she's dead. Like I'm sorry, but I think she's dead. Um, and I think she was more than okay with sacrificing herself. Um, now, how she got away? That is the question. So I think maybe I mean, the roof is an option. She does climb up the roof and then slides down, goes into the store, and basically does everything that Mike says that she does. Um, but then the whole void scene is the question of like, so what was that? Unless that was, unless Elle had asked her specifically to pull him into the void, to like give him the illusion of the void and let like and basically say goodbye for her. Um, then the void doesn't make sense. But even then, like if Elle had told or had asked for Mike to be pulled into the void and for like all of that to happen with her not actually being there feels kind of manipulative and kind of gross. Like that's not actually you though. And a lot of people were like, okay, but how are they touching in the void? And then other people were saying, oh well, Max and Calais and Elle were in the void in together earlier in the season. They didn't touch, or earlier in the episode, they didn't touch in like each other's hands or anything. And that, so I don't know. Like she's always been able to like touch the person that she's like sort of focused on. Like Billy, she was able to touch him, and then she was able to touch obviously Vecna. But that's in order to get into their minds. That was never to like actually touch them, unless she was able to, and she just also was able to get into their minds. So I really don't understand the point of the void if none of it was real. Um, I also don't understand how the void would have functioned because again, or I don't know if I said it, but it doesn't make sense for the powers that Kale has because she's never been able to necessarily make a whole scene. She's always just been able to, like, she created a wall, but it was inside the real world. Like, she, illusions, but not like full delirious void. Like, I don't know how she was able to pull that off, considering we've never seen her do it before. Granted, we haven't seen her in a long time, but she's been, I don't know, tied up and unconscious essentially for most of it. So I don't know. But then they go on to say, but there's a lot of other questions. Uh, could she have actually done that? Right? I'm saying I don't think she could have. Could she have possibly been alive? I think, like I said, I think she faked getting shot and then sacrificed herself. But I don't think that she's still alive. But I do think that this is very interesting and such a confusing way to like explain that like I don't know why they can't just have concrete answers. Like why are you so afraid of killing off your characters? Like I know you want spin-offs and to reboot it later on in your life, but like if Ella's alive, then you didn't kill a single character this season. Like you could have killed Ted and you didn't. Dude's still alive. You could have killed Karen. You didn't. Could have killed Nancy and Jonathan or Hopper or literally anybody. God, even Murray is still alive, bro. Like, you killed one character and it was the character that nobody knew. Dude, Eddie had more screen time than her. Like, legitimately, people forgot she existed. Which is heartbreaking because she's an interesting character to say the least. But, yeah, I don't understand how she could have possibly made it to the gate. Um, I just don't think that that's now that they've pointed it out. I don't think there's any singular way that that could have possibly happened. Now, other people are saying that there's a possibility that she did get, um, like shot. Kali got shot, and when she died, that's when the illusion of L vanished. Which I don't necessarily think is true because how would she have gotten to again the place to one be able to project L to everybody that was there because she knew that the core group was there. She knew that K was going to be there, but she didn't know all those soldiers. So if all of those soldiers saw L dying and it was an illusion, then she would have had to know that they were there to cast said illusion. She could have um also somehow ended up okay, I this one's a little bit further of a stretch. She could have ended up with the rest of the group, but like and was able to see the environments or something. She could have ended up closer to the gate, I think. But the problem is she would have also been hit with the kryptonite. So I don't think she was like fully with them, but like I think she was a lot closer than what I previously said. Because I think she might have been on the outskirts of the gate. I don't know. I don't know how she would have seen into the gate without them seeing her unless she was standing next to the projection. She could have been standing next to the projection and just been invisible and also projecting. But she could not have been shot while doing all of that. The energy required would have been insane. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I really think that's just sort of how it happened. Was that sorry? I think that Elle is alive, and Cully sacrificed herself to make sure that Elle got out safely. I just don't. There's so many questions, and it just doesn't feel like it fits properly. But it is the best sort of like explanation that like she just hopped in the back of the military truck with Hopper and Murray and just hopped out when she thought they were close enough to the gate and was able to help 11 out one last time. I just don't get the whole point of the void. Because why would that projection like why do that? Because you're also like I'm sorry, I have to get on the schizophrenic Mike Wheeler boat. I there's no other explanation. Like maybe that didn't happen, but Mike is like convincing himself that it did. I don't know. And also that I'm sure Finn is a great actor. That was a horrible scene. When when Millie said that she wished that Noah had been her love interest, I don't blame her. Comparing Noah's acting in that scene to Finn's, bro, Noah was giving like Oscar worthy performance and then Finn was over there screaming. I saw a tweet that said that when the love of your life is about to die versus when your mom takes away at PlayStation. Because that's really what they were giving in that scene. Um, I also want to just show you this part of this article because this actually is making me crash out. Are a lot of people upset about that? I didn't know. What do you just thought that the audience would love 50,000 open endings and no like proper conclusions to everything? Also, what do you mean? What do you mean Jonathan and Nancy's relationship was supposed to just be left up to interpretation? What is this? What is this? You also said in an article that they broke up because why would they still be together after everything they've been through? But now you're just saying, oh, it's left up to interpretation. I don't think they know their own show. And I'm going to be honest, every time they say something in an article, I'm just going to assume that, like, every time they say something in an article, I'm actually leaning closer to the fact that they might have used ChatGPT to write this final season. I'm not even joking anymore. Like, legitimately, legitimately, I feel like they use ChatGPT because some of this stuff, like, how do you not know what you wrote in your own show? Like, how do you not have an explanation for why you went that way? Like, I feel like if you're a good writer, you at least have some sort of idea. But if you legitimately can't give an explanation on like, there's like so many questions. I would say I implore you to go look into it, but genuinely don't even because it's not even worth it. But I've seen question after question after question with the answers only being, I don't know. I left it up to interpretation. Like, bro, half of your show is just left up to interpretation at this point. And this is the final. Like, that was the final. Like, it's over. It's done. That's why I'm now joining Conformity Gate, which is, if you haven't seen, there's a secret ninth episode, apparently. I'm going off the delusional route. Like, there's no way that this is a real happening. Like, I'm just going into the delusional. There's something wrong with this arc because either this is ChatGPT or there's some like nefarious things happening, which would be pretty sick. I'm not fully on the board of it of there being a secret ninth episode, but like I don't know, it's kind of fun, and it would be pretty sick. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I would actually be very intrigued. Like literally cinema. If there's a secret ninth episode, actually one of the best like TV shows ever. That would be sick. I don't even care what happens in the ninth episode. Just the fact that there is a secret episode. That would be sick. That would be sick. Um, it's really funny that I think honestly the best part about Stranger Things season 5 was the WSQK radio station. Like I hate to be that person, but I genuinely think that was the best part about all of it, just listening to 80s music for like the last month. Um I was more emotional over that shutting down than I was over the show ending. My bad. Um I don't like the way they did her ending. Um I don't like the fact that they're saying that she's never going to see them again. Well, and Mike's telling of the story. They're never going to see each other again. I just don't think it was necessary. Like, I really don't. It really doesn't make any sense. Um, like, after everything she's been through, the only answer was for her to kill herself. Like, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, and especially, like I mentioned earlier, there were so many, like, outcomes they could have had where she, like, got away and is just chilling with Dr. Owens, Antonov, Yuri, just like a bunch of like all the misfits that we've had over the seasons that we never saw again. Like maybe Susie's there, maybe Argyle's there, like maybe they're just all chilling in a foreign country somewhere. Why not? Like as long as she keeps moving, she could escape and be free. Like they haven't found her at any point in like over 2 years of her life they could not find her. And you're telling me she couldn't have been on the run? Every 2 years, she just switches it up. I mean, she'll have her friend group. And I mean, yeah, they'll use the friend. Like, I'm surprised they didn't use her friend group. They knew that they were friends. They knew it back in season 1 that they were friends. And then they never used Mike to, like, lure her out again? You think they never met? In those entire 18 months they didn't see each other once? Kinda crazy. I mean, you're over here phone tapping and everything, but, like, I don't know. It's just really interesting the stupidity of the government and like they they sit here and they're like, oh, the government's like gonna do all this stuff and yada yada yada, and then when like you cut to the government doing anything, they're just like the dumbest. They're like the hyenas from like um the Lion King. They're just like the dumbest dude in the world. I don't think all of them are dumb. I think it was really just one, but the dumbest guy in the world. But they sit here and make the military out to be the big bad, but then just they don't do anything. They're just there. So it's really just like I don't like the way that they like framed it like, "Oh, she has to die." So like obviously she's not dead cuz you're making it such a big deal that she has to die. And then you sit here and say that the void wasn't real. I'm I don't understand, man. I'm going to be so real. A lot of this episode is just like it's also really funny that there's two different gifs or videos from the same show of people just saying I don't understand. Elle said it in season 4 in the Rainbow Room when she was being shown the memories, and Billy said it um, when he was being haunted by the mind flare in the middle of the road. There's like the cult was stomping closer to him. Two different scenes. Everybody keeps just reposting them because nobody understands what's happening. I love it. I don't love that nobody understands, but I love that we're all in the boat together. Like at least I'm not stupid. But yeah, that's essentially all I wanted to talk about was just how I interpret the entire she couldn't get to the gate conversation. Um, I just why would the military not be like on both sides of the gate? Or why would the military not be closer? Also, my dad pointed out, why is the compound for the military not on the direct other side of the gate? Like, why is it further down the road? I'm pretty sure it's not on the direct other side of the gate, right? Like, they would have had to. I don't know where that military base is. Because it's not in the center, because that's where Hawkins was. It was just somewhere else. But why would it not be on the other side of the giant gate? One, makes supply drops so much quicker. And two, if anything were to happen because you know that there's monsters on the other side, you can get people to like the hospital. You can just get them out and get them to medical. And you can go on your little excursions and stuff. They showed like them searching the zones for Elle because they suspected that she was in the upside down. Like you could have done that. You could have just gone on your little excursions, collected whatever data you needed to, and then take it back to the home base. Why was your home base so far away from the gate? Actually insane. Like, there was no thought process. But then again, it's the military, so am I surprised? No. But, anyways, I'm gonna just stop rambling. But if you enjoyed this video or you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or theories as to what you are interpreting this as, because everything's up to interpretation. Give me all of your interpretations of this show, because clearly everything needs to be interpreted. Somebody else said that if everything was supposed to be up to interpretation, you should have just let me come up with the entire show for myself, because you clearly didn't do any of the work. But if you have any interpretations you think are interesting about anything to do with this season, just let me know, and I'll read them and maybe leave a comment. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I love you guys lots. Have fun. Be safe. Try not to die. And I'll see you guys when I see you. Bye.